Thank you very much, Katarzyna, for being here for this interview. Just to start our conversation here, I would like to ask you just to introduce your company and yourself to the audience.
So thank you very much for the invitation. I'm a Chief CEE Analyst and responsible for analysis of the region, basically macro developments, economic developments, but we also look into the markets, so currency yields, so pretty complex view about how the region performs.
Nice, thank you. We're gonna have some questions here. The first one, what's your macro outlook for the CE region over the next 12 months? Are we entering in a period of stabilization?
We are definitely living interesting and challenging times, and unfortunately, the uncertainty still is the key driver of the market sentiment. A lot has been happening. We have heard at the beginning of the year some positive news like fiscal impulse, Germany announcing also a big fiscal stimulus within the country. But then the President Trump announced the tariffs that caught, I think, a lot of countries by surprise. They were higher than initially expected. So the mood of switching on, switching off, which I mean tariffs apply and tariffs do not apply, definitely resulted in very, very increased uncertainty. That affects the business, the investment decision making. We have seen that uncertainty has already a negative impact on the growth and on the growth outlook. So hopefully, when the negotiations end and we end up with some lower tariffs than currently apply, we will see the optimism coming back and the recovery.
And talking about the inflation and the interest rates, they have hit CE countries differently. How is monetary policy divergence across the region impacting the real estate financing and capital flows?
The inflation shock that began in 2022 was unprecedented. We have seen double digits inflation numbers, the highest one in Hungary, above 20%, close to 25%. So back then, central banks reacted accordingly with increasing key policy rate. The monetary tightening followed. So that was definitely a difficult period of time with high costs of financing. We believe that we are out of the woods, that the inflation should gradually go down, should decline, and especially now that we see some deflationary tendencies. For example, oil price or gas prices went considerably down over the year. Also, the prospects of slower global growth will support the weaker demand. So all in all, these are deflationary tendencies. We thus expect monetary easing, interest rates to go down, also long-term yields to decline further. We see some room for further decline. That obviously affects the cost of financing, right? So the tendency is declining, but we still see the differentiation and the divergence between countries. So, for example, in Czechia, the cost of financing, the interest rate are among the lowest within the region, while in Romania and Hungary, you need to pay higher interests.
It's just taking advantage of this part and trying to go deeper. When we have international investors, they always look to the CE region as a one region. But we know that we have some differences between the countries. What we could tell a little bit more about those differences for the international investors that they should pay more attention.
Indeed, like the global picture is that you have Europe, you have Western Europe, you have CE region, and particularly this means Poland, Hungary, Czechia, Slovakia, Romania. When you already are in the region, you see that Polish economy is the biggest and currently the best performing economy. So our expectations for the growth are at 3%, which is very solid growth dynamics and the highest among the countries I have mentioned. And Poland is a relatively closed economy if we compare it to, for example, Czechia, Slovakia, or Hungary. These three countries are really export-oriented. have a very high share of trade to GDP. On the other hand, Romania is somewhere in between. It's more resemble to Poland. So especially in size, it's a bigger economy and also relatively closed. Obviously, the assessment then goes into more details, different risks, different conditions, different interest rates, as I already mentioned, different growth prospects.
And are we seeing some structural shifts in labor, consumption, or demographics that could redefine how investors thinking about the regions in long term?
So from the long-term perspective, demography definitely is a challenge, and it's a common challenge across the region. So declining workforce will affect the labor market as well. We actually already see the signs of this development. So the labor market general in the region is very tight. You have a low unemployment rates. Even during the economic downturn, we haven't seen unemployment rate increases, which is quite unusual. Previous crises resulted in high unemployment rates, and now we do not have that. And that's one of the outcome of changing labor market due to demography. Obviously, that puts a lot of pressure on wages. So you see high nominal wage, and that the countries, especially for example Poland, are really ready also to accommodate a high migration flow. What happened after the war in the Ukraine, that the flow of migrants from Ukraine appeared, and then we have seen them accommodating into labor market quite well.
Perfect. And if you would advise some international investors today, what's the one overlooked sign that they should be watching in the CE markets before deciding to deploy capital here?
I think I would come back to this diversity of the countries, that this is not one homogeneous region, but we really do have a different conditions in a different countries, that the risks assessment diverges, and that the countries will perform in very different way. And that comes also to the monetary policy, interest rates, and the cost of financing. So when approaching the region, this is not one part, one homogeneous region, but really diversified part of the world.
Nice. So, Katarzyna, thank you very much for your answers. The final question, what do you like most about your participation here at the GRI Club?
So I really enjoyed the openness and the curiosity of the participants. It was really good to receive the questions and hear that they are interested in the topic in macro development. I was also invited to the Women Empowering Women event, and it was really, really heartwarming to see that the women can professionally talk not only about the business side, but also have a mentoring part of that. I think that definitely business always benefits from the equality and more balanced structure.
Perfect. So, thank you very much again, Katarzyna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.